And I want to address the Virginia Constitutional Amendment number 1 on the ballot. It addresses who is in charge of drawing election redistricting maps in the U.S. House of Representatives, the state Senate, and the House of Delegates. I spoke to the National Black Nonpartisan Redistricting Organization, as well as the grassroots worker who is against the proposed amendment.
An amendment is designed to establish a civilian commission to draw Virginia's legislative districts. It'll be the first time in Virginia's history that a citizen commission and not legislators will draw districts.
Philip Thompson is an attorney and the executive director of the National Black Nonpartisan Redistricting Organization. He supports Virginia Constitutional Amendment number 1 and says there are elements within the proposal that could have a significant impact on the Black community.
Redistricting has always been a tool that's been used against African Americans. We are always constantly being segregated into groups and places and redlined into communities and all these various elements.
Thompson believes passing this amendment is critical to avoiding gerrymandering during the redistricting process and enshrining the protections of the 14th Amendment and the Voting Rights Act into the Virginia Constitution. Under the current state constitution, election districts are redrawn every 10 years after the census. Thompson says those voting districts are drawn in back rooms by the majority lawmakers. Grassroots volunteer Chris Ambrose is against this amendment. He argues this proposed amendment wouldn't change the backroom decisions.
The way this amendment is structured, it creates a commission which has 8 legislators on it, sitting legislators, and then 8 citizens, but the citizens are essentially picked by the legislatures.
He argues this proposed amendment would create a rigged commission where the legislators still have control.
If for some reason the sitting legislators on the commission aren't happy with how it turns out, they can veto the work of that commission.
The changes in the proposed amendment are nuanced, to say the least, and we've posted a link to the full write-up of the amendment on our website, WUSA 9. But Bruce, it's important to note that regardless of whether the amendment passes or not, the election maps in Virginia will be redrawn following the results of the 2020 census. So I'm just going to go in there and give my claim. Filling out the census and making sure you're included is absolutely key to this conversation.